Hello YouTube friends, welcome to the Red Parrot channel. This is an episode that is going to be at least annual, which is the land acknowledgement for this channel. I have a written statement. Today is summer solstice, and in Canada it is also National Indigenous Peoples Day. And I thought this was a great opportunity to do a public land acknowledgement. I also have put the land acknowledgement in my about. For anybody who is not in Canada and doesn't know what a land acknowledgement is, there are several countries in the world, certainly Australia being one, Canada being another, possibly New Zealand as well, where there is a really important need for everyone, in all of the citizens, to acknowledge the history that goes far beyond the landed explorers' point in time. There has been a lot of harm done to these cultures and these peoples, and in Canada we have something called the Truth and Reconciliation Report, where there have been 94 items, calls to action, and one of them is to acknowledge lands. This kind of land acknowledgement isn't just a fleeting thing that happens once. So in where I work, at the start of every meeting, every public meeting, every large meeting certainly, we do a reading of the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are working, living, and playing on lands that are kept and overseen, I think is the right word, maybe, by Indigenous populations. I was on YouTube looking for, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Great British Bake Off. They have a great Australian Bake Off, and at the start of every program, the screen goes black, and they have a land acknowledgement that the show is in Australia, and they acknowledge their Indigenous peoples. When I go to my beloved Blue Jays games, at the beginning of every single game, there is the video screen is taken over by the local chief, and he reads the land acknowledgement before every game. So it is before the national anthems, before anything. So that's the level of importance and priority that we give it. So I will read my statement because it is complicated and I want to get the things right. And I should put it down here so you can read it along if you want. So a land acknowledgement is a formal statement that recognizes the relationship between Indigenous peoples and their traditional territories. Acknowledging the land is an Indigenous practice that has been happening for thousands of years. It recognizes and respects the legal and spiritual relationship Indigenous peoples have with their territories. Public meetings and gatherings and other presentation or events are started with land acknowledgements. For example, TV shows, baseball games, as well as gatherings, meetings, and reports by various government bodies. This is a step to bringing attention and showing respect to the Indigenous peoples who first lived and currently live on the land where Canadians now live, work, and play. It is part of the ongoing responsibilities stemming from the Truth and Reconciliation Report 2015 and the 94 calls for action. And this is the land acknowledgement. I acknowledge the lands on which I live and which this channel operates is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. For thousands of years, Indigenous peoples inhabited and cared for this land and continue to do so today. In particular, I acknowledge the territory Anishinaabe, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Ojibwa-Chippewa peoples. The land that is home to the Métis, and most recently the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credits of the First Nation, who are direct descendants of the Mississaugas of the Credit. I am grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land, and by doing so, give my respect to its first inhabitants. And then the when I go to the baseball games, the chief ends it by saying miigwech, which is sort of a thank you, but not exactly a thank you. It's a long story. Anyways, miigwech, thank you.